You picked up this audiobook because something inside you knows you've been running on half of what you were capable of. You felt the drag of laziness, the fog of distraction, the slow death of potential buried under comfort. This isn't a book about motivation. It's about mastery. It's about rebuilding yourself from the inside out, through discipline, consistency, and relentless repetition. Every chapter will challenge the weakest parts of you. It will demand honesty. It will demand action. Because real transformation doesn't come from inspiration. It comes from repetition. You don't need another dose of hype. You need a system. You need a mindset that holds steady when your emotions collapse. You need the discipline you don't feel like practicing. This is not theory. This is training. By the end, you'll understand why motivation fades, but discipline compounds. Why your power doesn't come from feeling good, but from doing what must be done, even when you don't feel like it. So take a deep breath. Because once you start, there's no going back to the weaker version of you. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Stop waiting to feel ready. You keep waiting for the perfect moment, for the right timing, for that spark of motivation to finally hit you. But it never does it? You tell yourself, I'll start when I feel ready. But here's the truth. You will never feel ready. Readiness is not an emotion, it's a decision. And most people waste their lives waiting for a feeling that was never meant to come. You think you need confidence before you act. You don't. You need action before confidence exists. Confidence doesn't come from belief, it comes from proof. And proof only appears after you start moving. That's the key. Every person who has achieved something meaningful began unprepared. Every leader, every athlete, every entrepreneur, they began without certainty. They acted first, and the courage came later. You have to stop treating hesitation like a signal. It's not a warning, it's a test. Your hesitation is simply resistance in disguise. It whispers, not yet. But the truth is, now is the only time that ever counts. Imagine standing by the edge of an icy lake. You tell yourself, I'll jump when I feel ready. But the water will never feel warm enough. You can't think your way into comfort. The only way to overcome the cold is to dive in. And the moment you do, something shifts. Your body adapts, your breathing settles, your fear turns into focus. That's what happens when you move despite resistance. Action creates readiness. The mind doesn't prepare you for growth, it protects you from it. That's why you can't trust your feelings in the moments that matter most. When you say, I'm not ready, what you're really saying is, I don't trust myself yet. And that's the real problem. Not your lack of time, not your lack of motivation, not your circumstances. You don't trust yourself. But here is the truth you've been avoiding. Trust is built by doing what you said you'd do, even when it's uncomfortable. Discipline builds trust. Repetition builds readiness. Every time you take action despite fear, you teach your brain a new rule. I can handle this. That's the key. So what does this look like in real life? It means sending the email even though you're afraid of rejection. It means showing up to the gym when your mind screams, not today. It means recording the video, writing the page, taking the meeting, even when you feel flat and uninspired. The person you want to become, they're already doing these things. They're not waiting for the mood. They're not waiting for clarity. They act and clarity follows. You have to learn to move while scared. You have to learn to begin while uncertain. You have to learn to act before you believe. Because action is not the result of readiness. Action creates readiness. Let me be brutally honest with you. There will never be a day when you feel completely sure. You'll always have doubt, always have fear, always have reasons not to move. But you move anyway. Because that's how winners think. They understand that feelings are unreliable. They understand that waiting for the right time is just another name for procrastination. So stop analyzing, stop delaying, stop telling yourself you need more time, more knowledge, more motivation. You don't. You need to take the next step. That's all. One step. And then another. The power isn't in what you plan, it's in what you execute. Think about a rocket. It doesn't launch once it's comfortable, it launches into chaos. It shakes, it burns, it trembles, but it goes. And once it's in motion, gravity loses its grip. That's you. The first few seconds will always feel unstable, but once you move, momentum takes over. That's how discipline feels at first. Messy, uncertain, raw. But that's where strength is born. You have to be willing to move before you feel ready, because waiting kills momentum. And momentum is everything. If you keep waiting to feel like it, you'll stay stuck in the same loop, waiting, doubting, delaying, regretting. You already know this pattern. You've lived it for years, and you've seen how it ends, with you wondering what could be been if you had just started. So don't wait for perfect conditions. Create them. Don't wait for confidence. Earn it through consistency. Don't wait for permission. You don't need anyone's permission, because discipline doesn't care how you feel. It only cares that you show up. Let's make it practical. Pick one thing you've been avoiding, the task that lives in your head rent-free. Now give yourself a 5-second window, 5 seconds to move before your brain interferes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move, start the project, send the message, make the call. That single action is your proof that readiness was never the problem. You were. But now, you're different. You've crossed the line between thinking and doing, and that's where your life changes, not in inspiration, but in execution. You have a choice. You can keep waiting to feel ready, or you can build readiness through discipline, because readiness is not something you wait for. It's something you create every single day. You do it when you wake up early even though you're tired. You do it when you choose work over distraction. You do it when you keep your promises even when no one is watching. That's how you become unshakable. That's how you become unstoppable. That's how you earn your own respect. You're not waiting anymore. You're not listening to the excuses your mind makes to protect your comfort. You've outgrown that version of yourself. Now, when the voice says, "I don't feel ready," you answer, "I don't need to be." Because you've learned the truth. Readiness is built, not found. It's built through repetition, through discomfort, through relentless, disciplined action. Stop waiting. Start doing. That's the foundation. That's the truth. You've taken your first step into discipline, the decision to act without permission. Now it's time to understand why motivation keeps failing you and why discipline must become your new religion. Let's talk about motivation. It feels good, right? It's that spark that gets you started, the song in your head when you swear this time is going to be different. But I'm going to tell you something you might not want to hear. Motivation is a liar. It gives you this illusion of strength and then vanishes the second you actually need it. You wake up inspired, you make big plans, you feel unstoppable. Then one bad day hits, one piece of bad news, one wave of exhaustion, and poof, it's gone. All that energy, all that excitement just disappears. Why? Because motivation is emotional sugar. It gives you a quick spike, but the crash is even faster. It feels powerful in the moment, but it can't sustain you through the pain, the boredom, and the repetition that real goals require. And that's where most people quit. Not because they lack talent, but because they're addicted to the feeling of motivation. They're trapped. The truth is, motivation was never meant to carry you to the finish line. It's designed to get you to the starting line. It's a spark, not a furnace. You can't build a life on sparks. You have to build the fire yourself. And that's where discipline comes in. Discipline is what shows up when motivation calls in sick. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't wait for a lightning bolt of inspiration. It just does the work, every single time. This is the fundamental difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs work when they feel inspired. Professionals work because it's what they do. You have a choice. You can keep chasing that emotional sugar high, or you can start building real strength, the kind that stands firm in a storm. Just think about it. Every January, the gyms are packed. Everyone's excited. New gear, new playlists, new plans. By February, half of them are gone. By March, it's a ghost town. Why? Because motivation doesn't survive the grind of repetition. The people who stay aren't fueled by hype. They're fueled by habit. They've trained their minds to show up, no matter what. They don't need to feel like it. They've learned the truth. Discipline speaks louder than motivation. This is the key. Motivation whispers sweet nothings in your ear. Discipline commands you to act. Motivation fades with the sunset. Discipline remains, day in and day out. Motivation might inspire you for a moment, but it's discipline that will transform you for a lifetime. You can't build a legacy on feelings. You build it on systems. You build it by showing up, especially when no one is clapping for you. Let's break it down even further. Motivation is external. It's triggered by something outside of you. A video, a quote, a new goal. But what happens when that external trigger disappears? You collapse. Discipline, on the other hand, is internal. It's not built on your mood. It's built on meaning. It comes from deciding that a certain standard is non-negotiable. Think about it. You don't brush your teeth because you feel motivated. You do it because it's just part of who you are. That's discipline. You don't need more energy. You need a stronger identity. You don't need more motivation. You need higher standards. That's the difference between living a life based on emotion and living a life based on purpose. When you say, "I'll do it when I feel motivated," you've already lost. You've handed control of your progress over to your feelings, and let's be honest, our feelings can be lazy, emotional, and completely unpredictable. Discipline puts you back in the driver's seat. It says, "I'm doing this whether I feel like it or not." That is the moment you reclaim your power. It's not about hype. It's about honoring the promises you make to yourself. It's not about feeling good. It's about building real self-respect. Let's get real for a second. Think about the people you truly admire. The top performers, the relentless builders, the quiet warriors. Do you honestly think they wake up every single day bursting with motivation? Of course not. They wake up committed. They don't chase moods, they chase mastery. They've trained themselves to move when others pause, to execute when others overthink, and to persist when others complain. That's what separates them. It's not luck. It's not inspiration. It's not even passion. It's discipline. Because discipline doesn't need hype. It creates its own results. And results create momentum. And momentum creates genuine, lasting belief. The real cycle of progress isn't motivation, then action, then success. It's action, then results, then motivation. Action always comes first. Motivation wants you to feel good before you do the work. Discipline teaches you to feel good because you did the work. Do you see the difference? The first is emotional dependency. The second is emotional mastery. When you take action even when you feel low, you're telling your mind who's in charge. That's where real transformation begins, not in the mood, but in the motion. You don't need another pep talk. You need to move. You need to follow through when it's least convenient, because that's the very moment you build muscle, physical, mental, and emotional. Here's what you need to understand. Motivation burns out under pressure. Discipline sharpens under pressure. Motivation relies on comfort. Discipline thrives in discomfort. Motivation dies in silence. Discipline is born in silence. You can't fake it, and you can't buy it. You build it, one small act of self-command at a time. So the next time you feel unmotivated, don't just wait for a spark. Take the smallest possible action. Wash one dish, read one page, do one push-up. That single act breaks the spell of inaction. The body moves first and the mind will follow. Action is the cure. It always has been. If you build your life around motivation, you will always live in cycles. On fire one week, burnt out the next. Starting strong, but finishing weak. That cycle only ends when you stop chasing the feeling and start chasing consistency. When you stop saying, "I'll try," and start saying, "I will." Consistency isn't sexy. It's not loud or dramatic, but it is undefeated. The people who win in the long run aren't the most inspired. They're the most consistent. They repeat what works, even when it's boring. They keep their promises to themselves, even when it's hard. They do what others won't, even when no one is watching. That's discipline. That's freedom. That's real power. You have a choice right now. You can stay trapped in this loop of temporary highs and predictable crashes, or you can decide to rise above emotion and start living by decision. Stop chasing the sugar and start building a structure. Replace hype with habits. Replace moods with motion. You don't need to be inspired to be great. You just need to be consistent when inspiration is nowhere to be found. That is the truth. That is the way. That is the path to your strength. So when you wake up tomorrow and you don't feel like it, remember this. Motivation never built an empire. Motivation never finished a marathon. Motivation never truly changed a life. Discipline did, so stop chasing motivation. Outgrow it. Because when motivation inevitably dies, and it will, discipline is what will keep you and your dreams alive. You've learned to stop waiting for readiness. Now, you're learning to stop chasing motivation. You're building something much stronger. Internal control. Next time, we're going even deeper. Because once you stop relying on feelings, you need a new strategy. We'll talk about the power of daily, deliberate repetition. How small wins, repeated ruthlessly, can change everything. I'll see you in the next one. You think you need to do something huge, something dramatic, something life-changing to be successful, but that's not how it works. Success isn't one giant leap, it's 1,000 tiny steps taken every single day. You want to change your life? Start small. Then repeat it, relentlessly. That's the real formula. Because those small wins don't just build results, they build your identity. And once your identity changes, everything else follows. Everyone wants the highlight reel, the massive transformation. But nobody wants to do the boring repetitions that actually create it. Think about it. The gym isn't magic. It's repetition. Learning a new skill isn't about being a genius, it's repetition. True success isn't luck, it's repetition. This is the most underrated key to greatness. It's the quiet rhythm that rewires your brain, rewrites your habits, and resets your standards. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And your systems are built on repetition. Imagine a sculptor with a block of marble. They don't create a masterpiece with one powerful strike. They chip away bit by bit, inch by inch, day after day. Most people would get bored and give up, but the sculptor keeps going. Not because it's exciting, but because they understand the masterpiece lives inside the repetition. That's you. You are the sculptor of your own mind. Your habits are the hammer. Your discipline is the chisel. Every single repetition cuts away weakness, doubt, and hesitation. Every small win sharpens the person you're becoming. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. Here's where we all go wrong. We overestimate what we can do in a day and completely underestimate what we can build in a year. We chase those massive leaps, skip the tiny micro steps, and then quit when we don't see instant results. But here's a mind-blowing fact. If you got just 1% better every single day, in 1 year, you'd be 37 times stronger. That's not a motivational quote, that's math. The power of compounding works for your habits just like it does for your money. Small wins compound. Repetition rewires. Consistency conquers. That is the equation for mastery. So, you have to stop judging your progress by how you feel on any given day. Your mind gets bored with repetition, but your results are born from that so-called boredom. The people who truly win aren't the ones who are always inspired. They're the ones who have learned to fall in love with the process itself. They find joy in the grind. They understand that small wins are the bricks you use to build greatness. You lay one brick today, one tomorrow, one the next day. And before you know it, you've built a wall that nobody else even saw coming. That's how real success sneaks up on the world, slowly, quietly, and relentlessly. Repetition isn't a punishment. It's preparation. It's the universe asking you, how badly do you really want this? Most people will answer with words. But the winners? They answer with action. That's what separates the truly committed from the merely curious. Curious people dabble here and there. Committed people repeat, day in and day out. Repetition is how you train your nervous system to stop resisting and teach your brain, this is just who I am now. You stop trying to do it. You simply become it. That's the shift. Let's make this practical. If you want to build discipline, don't start with a grueling 2-hour morning routine. Just wake up 10 minutes earlier. And do it every day. If you want to get fit, forget the 90-day miracle plan. Just do 20 push-ups every single morning. And repeat it every day. If you want to change your mindset, don't try to read 10 books a week. Just read 5 pages a day and repeat it every single day. These tiny wins compound. The small repetitions stack up. The momentum multiplies. And before you even realize it, you've become a different person. Not because you changed everything overnight, but because you kept doing the small things that no one else was willing to repeat. That is real power. You have to learn to love the monotony. Because repetition will feel boring. And guess what? That's how you know it's working. The moment you start feeling bored is the moment real growth begins. Your mind craves novelty, but discipline craves progress. So many people quit because they confuse repetition with stagnation. They think, I'm doing the same thing over and over, nothing's changing. But everything is changing. Slowly, silently, deeply. Every rep, every page, every routine, it's rewiring you from the inside out. The transformation isn't visible until it's irreversible. Think of a bamboo tree. For years, you see no growth above the ground. It looks like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, a massive root system is expanding, strengthening, and spreading out. Then suddenly, in just a few short weeks, the bamboo shoots up over 80 feet tall. That wasn't sudden success. That was delayed visibility. Your progress works the exact same way. Keep watering it. Keep showing up. Keep repeating the process. Your breakthrough is already growing. You just can't see it yet. Remember this formula: patience plus repetition equals explosion. And here's the part most people completely miss. Repetition doesn't just build your skill, it builds your belief in yourself. Every time you keep a small promise to yourself, you prove that you're dependable. Every time you finish what you start, you whisper to your own mind, I can trust me. That is the real foundation of confidence, self-trust that's earned through consistency. Confidence isn't about standing in front of a mirror shouting affirmations. It's the quiet pride that comes from knowing, I've done this before, I can do it again. That's what daily repetition gives you, not hype, but proof. And proof is power. You don't need more intensity. You need a stronger identity. You don't need more inspiration. You need clear instructions. You don't need big, flashy wins. You need small, repeatable ones. Because once repetition becomes your natural rhythm, success becomes inevitable. You don't rise overnight. You rise inch by inch, day by day, rep by rep. Your discipline, your resilience, and your self-respect are all built in the repetition. That's the foundation of an unstoppable mind. So the next time your brain tells you, "This is boring," I want you to answer back, "Good. That means it's working." The next time you feel tempted to skip a small step because it feels insignificant, remember, that small step is the entire system. It's the pattern that rewires who you are. The goal isn't to feel excited all the time. The goal is to be effective. Small wins, ruthless repetition, every single day, no excuses. Because when you repeat greatness long enough, it stops being an effort and it becomes your identity. Have you ever felt that tightness in your chest, that racing heart, that voice in your head screaming, "I can't handle this"? We've all been there. Most of us see that feeling, that pressure, and we run. We try to escape it, avoid it, do anything to make it go away. But what if I told you that pressure isn't the enemy? What if it's the one thing that can forge something real within you? Think about it. Pressure is proof. It's proof that you're finally in the arena, not just watching from the sidelines. It's proof that you've stopped just thinking about your goals and started actually doing something about them. Pressure is life's way of tapping you on the shoulder and saying, "Hey, what you're doing right now, it matters." We all want progress, but we don't want the weight that comes with it. We want success without the strain, confidence without the risk of failure. But that's a fantasy. Every great athlete, every successful entrepreneur, every leader you admire has learned this one non-negotiable truth. Pressure isn't a punishment, it's feedback, it's data. When you feel that tension, that anxiety, that discomfort, that's not a stop sign. That's a sign that you have just entered the growth zone. You're no longer coasting on what's easy. You've stepped into the unknown, and that's exactly where transformation happens. Pressure is like a mirror. It shows you the exact size of your current limits. When your hands start to shake before a big presentation, or your mind races before a tough conversation, that's not a signal to retreat. That's your cue to breathe, stabilize, and push forward. The simple act of staying calm under that pressure is how you expand your capabilities. The problem isn't the pressure itself. The real enemy is avoidance. Running from hard things doesn't make your life easier. It just makes you weaker. If you avoid pressure long enough, your tolerance for it drops to zero. The smallest challenge shatters your confidence. A minor delay completely derails your day. The slightest criticism feels like a personal attack. But what happens when you lean into pressure? Even in small daily doses, your capacity expands. You become the person who stays calm while others panic. You're steady when others shake. You remain focused when everyone else folds. You become unbreakable. Let's look at a diamond. What creates it? It's not comfort or perfect conditions. It's relentless, crushing pressure applied over an immense amount of time. That's what turns common carbon into something priceless and rare. You are no different. Without pressure, you remain carbon, full of potential, but without form. With pressure, you transform. You become refined, resilient, and uniquely strong. So the next time life applies pressure, don't ask, "Why me?" Instead say, "Good. Now I know this matters." You don't feel pressure doing meaningless things, right? You feel it when something is on the line. Your dream, your integrity, your future. So when that pressure shows up, don't back away. Lean in. Breathe through it. Train your body to stay still and your mind to stay clear. This is discipline under fire. This is how you discover your edge. And without your edge, you'll never find your greatness. The people you admire most, the ones who seem unstoppable, they aren't immune to pressure. They've just learned to interpret it differently. Where you might feel fear, they feel focus. Where you see a threat, they see an opportunity. It's the exact same physical sensation, but they've assigned it a completely different meaning. Pressure doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're alive. It means you're chasing something so important that it's forcing you to evolve. You have to start building a new internal dialogue. When things get hard, don't say, "This is too much." Say, "This is exactly where I'm supposed to be." When you feel overwhelmed, don't think, "I can't do this." Tell yourself, "This pressure is my proof." That's how you rewire your automatic response. That's how you stop running from the very thing that is trying to shape you into the person you're meant to become. If you keep dodging pressure, you'll spend your life stuck in a loop. Every time a challenge arises, you'll retreat. Every time you meet resistance, you'll make an excuse. You'll rationalize why it's okay to stay in your comfort zone. And that cycle will never end, not until you decide that pressure isn't just pain. It's the price of mastery. Do you want unshakable confidence? You'll earn it through pressure. Do you want real, tangible results? You'll gain them through pressure. Do you want true inner peace? You'll find it on the other side of pressure, never by avoiding it. Every single repetition you complete under stress is another layer of mental armor. Every uncomfortable day you endure teaches you self-control. Every pressure test you pass makes you stronger for the next one. You have to stop treating comfort like it's a safe harbor. Comfort doesn't protect you, it weakens you. It dulls your edge, your alertness, and your hunger for more. Pressure, on the other hand, keeps you sharp. Growth lives in friction. True discipline isn't about doing easy things over and over. It's about staying consistent when things get heavy. That moment when every part of you wants to quit. That is the test. That is the repetition that truly counts. That is the one that builds your next level. Pressure is a silent teacher that never lies. It will expose what's real and break what's fake. It will challenge every part of you that isn't built on a solid foundation of discipline. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to stay in the fire long enough to prove to yourself that you can handle the heat. That's how real mental toughness is born. Not from inspirational quotes, but from the decision to stay when everything hurts. So the next time you feel that pressure building, don't panic. Anchor yourself. Say it in your head. Say it out loud if you have to. Pressure is the proof. It's the proof that you're doing something meaningful. The proof that you're pushing your limits. The proof that you are still evolving. And when the storm passes, and it always does, you'll realize something powerful. It wasn't the pressure that almost broke you. It was your mistaken belief that feeling pressure meant you were weak. You are not weak. You are being shaped, refined, tempered, hardened. That is the gift of pressure. And that is exactly why you need it. Stop running from it. Start respecting it. Because the moment you see it as your ally, everything changes. The weight becomes fuel. The struggle becomes structure. And the tension becomes your greatest training tool. That's the mindset that separates the fragile from the forged. You've learned to hold your ground. You've proven you can survive resistance. Now, it's time to learn what to do with that strength once it's built. Now, let's talk about power. Everyone wants the spotlight, but nobody wants the silence that comes before it. They crave the applause, but not the hours of practice. They want recognition, but not the endless repetition. They dream of the results, but not the relentless solitude. But let me tell you, that's not mastery. That's just performance. Real mastery is built in the dark. It's forged when no one is watching, when no one seems to care, and when there's no immediate reward waiting for you, just the repetition itself. It's not glamorous. It's not supposed to be exciting. Because mastery isn't about fleeting motivation, it's about unwavering devotion. You see, the world loves to celebrate the moment of victory, but it completely forgets the years of obscurity that led to it. The dark, early mornings, the long, late nights, the quiet rejections, and the mountains of invisible work. Every master you admire, whether they're an athlete, an artist, or a leader, has lived through a season of darkness. A season where it looked like nothing was working. A season where no one believed, no one noticed, and no one clapped. That period of isolation is where they built the mental and physical muscle that others will never have, because it's in the dark that you have to confront the real truth. Are you doing this for recognition, or are you doing this for mastery? If you quit the moment no one is watching, you were never chasing mastery. You were just chasing attention. If you stop when it gets boring, you weren't truly committed. You were just looking for entertainment. Mastery begins right where motivation ends. That's the dividing line that separates the amateurs from the relentless. When you can show up day after day without needing any external validation, that's when you start to fundamentally change. That's when you enter a realm of real, unshakable power. So many people see the dark as an enemy, but it's not. It's your forge. It's the place where all the noise of the world stops and the distractions die. It's where you can finally start to hear your own mind again. You have to fall in love with the grind that no one applauds, because that's the only grind that builds something permanent, something truly yours. People around you might not understand it. They'll ask, "Why are you still doing that?" Or, "Why do you keep pushing so hard? Why do you care so much when no one else does?" And you'll just smile because you know they don't get it. They can't see what you see. They don't hear that quiet whisper inside you that says, "Keep going." And that whisper? That's your future self calling you forward. It's the voice of the master you are becoming. Think about it. Every great transformation in nature begins in the dark. A seed grows in darkness long before it ever breaks through the soil. An athlete trains in complete isolation for years before the crowd ever shows up. A creator pours their heart and soul into their work long before it's ever seen by the world. The dark isn't a delay of your destiny, it's the design of it. You don't need recognition to validate your path. You need repetition to sharpen it. You need solitude to hear the unfiltered truth about who you are and what you're capable of. Most people can't handle silence. They confuse it with loneliness. But silence is sacred. It's where the nagging voice of doubt finally fades and discipline takes over. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need their praise. You just need to keep showing up when your work is completely invisible. That is the secret that separates true mastery from mediocrity. When you train in the dark, you develop instincts that can't be faked. You build a focus that can't be broken and a confidence that can't be shaken. Why? Because you didn't borrow it from applause. You built it yourself, brick by painful brick. This is exactly why discipline matters so much. It's the only thing you have that doesn't need an audience to survive. Of course, in the dark, you'll doubt yourself. You'll feel like you're wasting your time. You'll wonder if anyone will ever notice your effort. That's perfectly normal. In fact, that's the test. The darkness is where the weak disappear and the truly committed emerge. Every single repetition you do in silence is a contract you're signing with your future self. Every early morning, every late night, every unseen hour, it all adds up. No one claps, no one thanks you, no one sees it. But one day, they will. And when they do, it'll look like you came out of nowhere. It'll look like you got lucky. It'll look like you're just naturally talented. But you'll know the real story. You'll know it was the dark, the quiet, the relentless repetition, and the unyielding discipline when no one was watching. That's the real story behind every overnight success. The truth is, the dark doesn't delay you, it prepares you. It strips away all the noise, the ego, and the desperate need for validation. It forces you to face your work, your habits, and your weaknesses head on. That's where the real transformation happens, not in the spotlight, but in the grind. So stop fearing the silence. Stop waiting for the applause. Stop expecting anyone else to understand your obsession. This is your path. This is your dark season. This is your proving ground. And one day, when the light finally hits you, when the world finally notices, you'll be unshakable. Because you built your foundation in the shadows. You bled for it when no one cared. You endured what others ran away from. That is mastery, and that is why you don't skip the dark. You need it. You have a choice. You can chase comfort, stay visible but remain shallow, or you can embrace the dark and become dangerous, focused, untouchable. Choose the dark, because it's in the dark that you discover who you really are. It's where you build who you're going to become, and it's where you earn what no one can ever take away from you. The world doesn't see it yet, but trust me, it will. So stay there, train there, build there. Keep going until the dark no longer feels like a burden, but a privilege, because it is. You've learned to find strength in the silence. Now it's time to direct that strength towards something even bigger, something that outlasts any emotion, fear, or fatigue. You've trained in the dark. Now, let's talk about endurance, because consistency is the real confidence. You've been told your whole life to be more confident. As if it's a switch you can just flip. As if you can just wake up one morning and decide to believe in yourself. But what if everything we've been taught about confidence is wrong? What if it's not a feeling you chase, but a result you earn? For years, I believed confidence was something you were born with, or something you found through a motivational speech. I'd watch videos, read books, and try to psych myself up. I'd tell myself, I am confident. I can do this. But the moment things got tough, that feeling would evaporate and I'd be right back where I started, full of doubt. Sound familiar? We've all been there. We wait to feel ready. We wait for the fear to go away. We wait for that magical surge of self-belief before we take the first step. But here's the secret they don't tell you. Confidence doesn't come before the action. Confidence is the reward for the action. It's not built in your head with positive thinking. It's forged in the fire of your daily habits. Think about it. When do you truly trust someone? Is it when they just talk a big game? Or is it when they consistently show up, keep their promises, and do what they say they'll do? It's the same with yourself. Confidence is just self-trust. And you don't talk your way into self-trust. You prove your way into it. Every single time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you make a deposit in your internal confidence account. Woke up when your alarm went off? That's a deposit. Finished that workout you didn't feel like doing? Another deposit. Every time you break a promise, I'll start tomorrow. I'll skip just this one time. You make a withdrawal. When your balance runs low, you're left with self-doubt. It's not a personality flaw, it's just bad accounting. Your credibility with yourself is bankrupt. The problem is, we live in a world that celebrates loud declarations over quiet consistency. We see the highlight reels, the big wins, the overnight successes. We don't see the thousands of boring, repetitive, unseen hours that built the foundation for that success. We chase the feeling of motivation, thinking it's the fuel we need. But motivation is fleeting. It's a spark. Discipline, on the other hand, is the engine that keeps going long after the spark has died. The most confident people I know aren't the loudest. They aren't the ones constantly seeking validation or trying to prove themselves. They're the quiet ones, the steady ones. Their confidence isn't a performance, it's a presence. It comes from a deep, unshakable certainty that they can rely on themselves. Why? Because they have a track record of showing up, day in and day out, especially when no one is watching. They've proven to themselves again and again that their word is law. This is the great inversion that most people never learn. We think we need to feel good to perform well. But the truth is, you need to perform consistently to feel good. Consistent action creates emotional stability. Sporadic bursts of inspiration lead to emotional chaos. Think about the person at the gym who only shows up when they feel inspired. They might have a great workout once every 2 weeks. Now think about the person who shows up every single day, whether they feel like it or not. Who do you think makes real progress? Who do you think builds unstoppable belief in their capabilities? Consistency compounds. It's simple math. Tiny, disciplined actions repeated over time will always beat massive, inconsistent efforts. The formula isn't glamorous, but it's unbreakable. Consistency leads to proof, and proof builds real confidence. So if you want to build that unshakable self-belief, stop trying to tackle mountains. Start by making smaller promises and keeping them religiously. If you say you're going to read for 10 minutes, read for 10 minutes. If you say you're going to make your bed, make it. Each of these small wins might seem insignificant, but they are rewiring your brain. Every act of discipline is an act of self-respect. You start to see yourself not as someone who tries, but as someone who does. You're not faking it till you make it. You are doing it until you become it. That's the identity of an executor. And an executor doesn't need to convince themselves they can handle challenges. They know they can, because their entire history is a testament to their ability to follow through. This is the kind of confidence that can't be taken from you. You could lose your job, face criticism, or fail spectacularly, and you'd still stand tall. Why? Because your foundation isn't built on external validation or fleeting emotions. It's built on a bedrock of your own consistent actions. When confidence comes from doing, it becomes unbreakable. So let me ask you this. Are you tired of doubting yourself? Are you tired of letting fear call the shots? Then stop breaking your word to the most important person in your life, you. Stop waiting for the perfect feeling. Start building the perfect habit. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. One small step, every single day, moving in the direction you've chosen. That's how you turn the chaos of self-doubt into the clarity of self-trust. You can continue to wait for confidence to find you, or you can start building it, one action at a time. One path keeps you stuck forever. The other makes you unstoppable. The choice is yours. When you hear the word chaos, what comes to mind? For most people, it's disaster, failure, collapse. We flinch, we tense up, we brace for the worst. But what if I told you that you're looking at it all wrong? What if chaos isn't a punishment? What if chaos is preparation? Let that sink in for a moment. The storm doesn't arrive to destroy you. It arrives to strengthen you. Chaos is a classroom, and the moment you stop resisting it, you start learning from it. You see, anyone can be calm when life is predictable. Anyone can show up when everything is going according to plan. But that's not discipline. That's just comfort. True discipline, the kind that forges you into someone remarkable, shows up when nothing makes sense. It appears when the structure breaks down, when you're tired, tested, and everything you thought you controlled falls apart. That's where your real strength is revealed. Chaos exposes what comfort hides. When life gets hard, you find out what you truly believe. You discover which habits are real and which were just convenient routines. You learn whether you've built genuine resilience or just a comfortable rhythm. Chaos strips away all your illusions and leaves only the truth. And that truth, no matter how uncomfortable, is the foundation for all real growth. You can't evolve without friction. You can't become sharp without resistance. You can't develop emotional control without moments that threaten to break it. This is why the chaos matters. It's the lab where you are tested. Every mistake, every setback, every loss, it's a lesson disguised as pain. But here's the key. Only the disciplined learn from it. The undisciplined panic. The disciplined observe. The undisciplined complain. The disciplined adjust. The undisciplined run. The disciplined remain. That is the fundamental difference. Chaos doesn't choose who it visits everyone. But it reveals who is truly ready. You can't train to avoid chaos. That's a fool's errand. You train to stand steady right in the middle of it. Think about a soldier in combat. They can rehearse drills endlessly in training, but when the real battle starts, when the noise, the confusion, and the fear hit all at once, discipline decides everything. Because in the heart of chaos, emotions run high and logic vanishes. Only your training remains. Only your habits remain. Only your discipline remains. This is why you must train like every single repetition matters, because one day it will. When the chaos finally hits, you won't rise to the occasion. You will fall to the level of your preparation. And if your preparation was built on a foundation of comfort, you will crumble. But if your preparation was built on consistency, day in and day out, you will adapt. That is why you must learn to love the chaos, because it shows you exactly where to strengthen your system. Every time you get tested, life is giving you direct feedback. Here's where you're weak. Here's what you haven't mastered yet. Here's your next lesson. You can either run from that feedback or you can learn from it. Remember this line: chaos doesn't stop your growth, it directs it. The key is to stay grounded in your principles when everything else is unstable. Your emotions will scream at you. Your perfectly laid plans will crumble to dust. That's okay. Let them. Because your principles, your core habits, your internal structure, your unwavering values, that's what keeps you centered. You don't need the world to calm down for you to be okay. You need to be calm within the world. That's what makes you powerful. You become the eye of the storm, still, focused and deliberate, while everything else spins wildly around you. And people will notice. They'll come to you and ask, "How are you so composed when everything is falling apart?" And you'll tell them the truth. "I've been here before." Because you have. Every challenge before this one prepared you for this moment. Every storm you weathered before this one trained your resilience. Every previous taste of chaos taught you how to think clearly while others panic. You've been learning from chaos your whole life, whether you realized it or not. The difference now is that you are choosing to see it as training. You are not a victim of difficulty, you are a student of it. And every time chaos returns, you get a little sharper, a little more grounded, more patient, more disciplined. This is what the masters of any craft understand. They don't fear uncertainty, they function inside it. They don't wait for perfect conditions, they create their own focus amidst the mess. They don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" And that simple shift in perspective is how they grow. So stop trying to escape the chaos. You will never outrun it. Not in life, not in business, not in your relationships, and certainly not in your own mind. You will always encounter uncertainty. The goal isn't to eliminate chaos. The goal is to operate effectively within it. You do that through structure, through repetition, through calm, detached awareness when everyone else is reacting emotionally. You don't fight the chaos, you absorb it, you process it, you learn from it. That is the mindset of mastery. When life throws you off balance, your focus should be singular. Recenter yourself faster each time. That's how you measure growth, not by how rarely you fall, but by how quickly you recover. The chaos isn't your punishment, it's your promotion. Every time you handle it better, you level up. Every time you keep your discipline intact while your emotions are raging, you become more unbreakable. This is the secret the world doesn't teach you. You don't build greatness in calm, comfortable conditions. You forge it in the heart of the storm. So welcome the chaos. Let it test you. Let it teach you. Let it show you who you really are. Because the truth is, chaos doesn't build character. It reveals it. And what it reveals, you can then refine. What it exposes, you can strengthen. You have a choice. You can be consumed by the chaos, or you can be constructed by it. One path makes you reactive, the other makes you ready. So the next time life throws you into the storm, don't flinch. Take a deep breath, watch, adapt, and learn. Because you're not being destroyed, you're being developed. Chaos isn't the end of your control, it's the evolution of it. You've trained in silence, you've built consistency. Now you're learning composure in chaos. And that composure, that calm, steady precision when everything is falling apart, that's what makes you unstoppable. You've learned that chaos is the classroom. Now it's time to talk about the teacher inside you, the one who commands, corrects, and controls your course. Because the next step isn't about reacting to the world. It's about leading yourself with precision, commanding yourself before the world does. You wake up every day in a battlefield. Not a physical one, but a psychological one. The world doesn't wait for you to find your balance. It comes for your attention, your emotions, your focus. Every notification, every piece of bad news, every judgmental look, all of it is fighting to command you. If you don't command yourself, something else will. And once the world controls your reactions, it owns your direction. You lose hours scrolling through distractions because you didn't set your own tone for the day. You fall into self-doubt because someone's opinion slipped under your skin. You hesitate because you've let all that external noise rewrite your internal script. This is what happens when you live on autopilot. You let your emotions drive you instead of driving your emotions. You let your impulses command your actions instead of your discipline commanding them. And the longer you live that way, the more you become a follower, not of people, but of chaos itself. That is why the most powerful people in the world have one thing in common. They command themselves before the world does. They wake up with intention. They create before they consume. They move before they even have time to think. They decide before doubt can even whisper in their ear. That's the key. Because when you command yourself, you create order in a world designed to pull you apart. You become a moving force, not a reacting one. You stop waiting to feel right because you already know your direction. Let me say it clearly. Self-command is not about control, it's about ownership. Ownership of your time, ownership of your focus, ownership of your emotional temperature. Think about it. Every soldier is trained to act under chaos. Why? Because in the storm, hesitation gets you killed. Commanders don't wait to feel ready. They act with clarity even when the ground is shaking beneath them. That's the mindset you must bring to your life. You're not just living in the world, you're leading yourself through it. So ask yourself, do you start your day by checking your phone or by commanding your state? Do you react to the world, or do you dictate how you show up in it? Do you let your mind drift aimlessly, or do you direct it? You have a choice, and every single morning, that choice decides who owns your day, you or the world. Commanding yourself begins in the smallest things. Your morning routine is your first battlefield. The alarm rings. Do you rise or do you surrender and hit snooze? Your thoughts wander. Do you observe them or do you follow them down a rabbit hole? Someone disrespects you. Do you react emotionally or do you respond with presence and composure? That's where command is truly tested. Not when things are easy, but when they're inconvenient. The person who can hold their composure when the world is shaking, that's real power. The one who can still think clearly when insulted, still move forward when tired, still execute when uninspired, that is command. You don't need to dominate the world, you just need to dominate yourself. Because once you do, the world starts to bend in your direction. People respect command, they sense it, they respond to it, they follow it. It is why the calmest person in the room often has the most power. Not because they speak the loudest, but because their internal state isn't dependent on anyone else. Command yourself, and you'll never feel the need to prove yourself. Now understand this. The world is designed to keep you distracted. Every app, every ad, every outrage headline is trying to hijack your focus. It's not a coincidence that focus is the new superpower. The one who can command their attention can command their future. When you can't sit still, when you can't hold silence, when you can't delay gratification, you're not free, you're enslaved to impulse. And every impulse you obey weakens your command. But every time you say no to temptation, you strengthen it. Every time you stay calm in the storm, you reinforce it. Every time you follow your plan instead of your fleeting emotions, you sharpen it. Command is built repetition by repetition. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's not loud. But it's powerful, and it's incredibly rare. And remember this: self-command is not about perfection. It's about recovery. Even the best soldiers break formation. What matters is how fast you come back, how quickly you realign your posture, your tone, your breath, your focus. You fall, you correct, you command again. That's the process. You don't need to control everything, you just need to command your next move. When the world throws chaos at you, your response must be deliberate. When people doubt you, your focus must be unshaken. When life tests you, your posture must stay upright. Because command isn't built in times of peace, it's forged in resistance. That's where true leadership begins, not in leading others but in leading yourself when nobody's watching. The world doesn't owe you respect. It mirrors the level of control you have over yourself. Command your tone and your conversations change. Command your time and your results change. Command your energy and your entire life changes. You have a choice. Every day, every hour, every moment. Either you command your life, or it commands you. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, just pause and ask yourself, who's giving the orders right now, my discipline or my emotion? That one question will change everything. Because when you learn to command yourself, you stop chasing power. You become it. You've learned to command yourself, to take ownership before the world dictates your pace. Now it's time to go deeper, to take that internal power and apply it where it matters most, in motion, in action, in the unseen grind. Have you ever been told that you need to feel inspired before you can create, motivated before you can move, or confident before you can act? Well, I'm here to tell you that's a dangerous lie. We've all been conditioned to believe that emotion comes first, that we have to wait for the right feeling to hit us before we can take action. But that's precisely why so many of us stay stuck. We wait for a state of mind that never shows up on its own. Here's the truth. Emotion doesn't lead to motion. It's the other way around. Motion leads to emotion. You don't need to feel right to do right. You just need to move. The moment you take that first step, your body starts sending signals to your brain, telling it how to feel. You're not tired. You're just unactivated. You're not unmotivated. You're simply unmoved. Think about it. Every time you forced yourself to start something, getting out of bed, making that difficult call, hitting the gym, how long did it take for that initial resistance to fade? Just a few minutes, right? That's because your body is the gateway to your mind. When you move, your brain follows. Your emotions are loud, but they're not loyal. They change from one moment to the next. If you let them dictate your life, you'll be living in chaos. But if you master motion, you become unstoppable. This isn't just a mindset, it's a survival skill. Look at top athletes. They don't train only when they feel like it. They train because it's time to train. The world's greatest performers don't wait for a creative flow to strike. They start working, and through that work, the flow appears. The disciplined among us don't seek energy. They generate it through movement. Motion is a command. With every rep, every step, every single action, you're telling your brain, we're doing this. No negotiation. This is how you build a new identity. Through consistent movement, not fleeting motivation. You always have a choice. You can obey your feelings, or you can obey your focus. Your emotions aren't your enemy, but they are incredibly unreliable leaders. They can be passengers on your journey, but they absolutely cannot be in the driver's seat. If emotion is driving your life, chaos is at the wheel. But when motion takes the lead, you gain direction. The second you move, you shatter paralysis. You quiet the fear. You start building proof for yourself. Every small step you take toward your goal is a vote for the person you want to become. And trust me, those votes add up quickly. You don't build confidence by thinking about it. You build it by moving. You don't find your path by waiting. You find it by walking. Progress isn't created through endless planning. It's created through motion. That's the formula. Let's get real for a second. There will be days when you feel absolutely nothing. Days when your mind screams, "Not today." But those are the days that define you. Discipline isn't about what you do when you're inspired. It's about how you move when you feel empty. When that voice in your head tells you to stop, motion becomes your act of rebellion. Every push-up you do when you'd rather rest, every line you write when you want to quit, every step you take when you'd rather hide. These are declarations. They are powerful statements that you, not your emotions, are in command. You always have a choice. If you wait for your feelings to grant you permission, you'll spend your entire life waiting. So, here's the secret. The emotion never comes first. Motion is the ignition key. Do it cold, do it tired, do it scared, do it bored. Just do it moving. Because emotion follows momentum. The act of doing creates the feeling of being. You can't think your way into confidence. You have to move your way there. You can't analyze your way out of fear. You have to move your way through it. This is why disciplined people often seem so emotionally stable. It's not because they don't feel fear or doubt, but because they keep moving anyway. When emotion says, "I can't," motion replies, "Watch me." And the magic happens once you start. Your body releases energy, your mind calms down, and clarity begins to appear. It's like pushing a heavy boulder. At first, it feels impossible. But after one push, then another, it starts rolling. And once it's rolling, it builds its own speed. That's motion, that's momentum. Emotion is temporary, but momentum can be permanent. That's why you have to train your nervous system to act, not just react. Every time you choose to move without permission from your emotions, you strengthen your mind. You teach yourself that feelings are irrelevant when your mission is clear. You don't need to feel inspired to act. You need to act to feel inspired. That's the reversal. That's the truth. If you're struggling to start, just shrink the motion. Feeling too tired to work out? Just put on your gym shoes. Too overwhelmed to work? Just open the document and type one sentence. Too anxious to speak up? Just say the first word. The motion doesn't have to be massive. It just has to begin. Because once you're in motion, the next step becomes easier. And then the next. Before you know it, you'll have achieved what most people never do. Consistency. Right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can stay stuck in your emotions, or you can choose motion. Move first, feel later. This is how warriors train. This is how excellence is built. This is how freedom begins. The disciplined don't wait for motivation. They manufacture momentum. When you master motion, emotion becomes your fuel, not your jailer. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up feeling tired or uninspired, remember this. Don't wait for the spark. Be the spark. Don't chase the feeling. Create it through movement. That is the secret of the unstoppable. Motion first, emotion second. Always. You've just learned how to override emotion with motion. To move first, feel later, and generate your own momentum. Now it is time to talk about what keeps you moving when the world doesn't reward you right away. We're going to dive into the invisible fire that separates the disciplined from the distracted. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more. And get ready for our next chapter. The long game never lies. There's a truth that time never fails to reveal. The long game never lies. Think about it. Anyone can look disciplined for a week. Anyone can sound motivated for a month. But the long game, it exposes everything. It uncovers your habits, your real priorities, and your true identity. You can fake consistency for a little while. You can post all you want about your effort on social media. But you can't fake years. The long game doesn't care about what you post. It only measures what you practice. It doesn't care about what you say. It measures what you do when absolutely nobody is watching. And that's the truth most people can't handle. Because it means you can't hide behind words anymore. The long game strips away the illusion of effort and leaves only proof. You want success? You have to be willing to play longer than anyone else. You want freedom? You have to delay pleasure longer than anyone else. You want mastery? You have to repeat what others get bored of faster than anyone else. That's the cost. That's the code. The long game rewards endurance, not excitement. Most people quit, not because they can't win, but because they can't wait. They crave speed, not substance. They chase these little spikes of motivation instead of building systems of discipline. But here's the thing, the long game doesn't reward the loud. It rewards the lasting. And the lasting always comes down to one skill: staying in motion when nothing seems to move. You have a choice. Every single day you can trade long-term gain for short-term comfort, or the other way around. And every single time you choose the long-term path, you become more powerful. That's the key. The long game isn't glamorous. It's early mornings and late nights. It's silence and sacrifice. It's saying no when no one is around to hear you. It's showing up when no one is there to clap for you. It's trusting your own pace when everyone else is rushing ahead. The world glorifies results, but the long game glorifies resilience. Ask any true master. Their success didn't come from one big, life-changing decision. It came from 1,000 small, disciplined ones stacked over time. That's compounding. That's leverage. That's the truth. But you know what's even more powerful? The long game gives you peace. Because when you commit to the long term, you stop comparing yourself to others. You stop rushing. You stop doubting your timeline. You realize the race isn't against other people. It's against your own excuses. And that realization, right there, sets you free. When you understand that time is your ally, not your enemy, you stop chasing hacks and you start embracing habits. You start focusing on what endures, not just what entertains. Because the long game never lies, it simply reflects what you consistently choose. Look around you. The people who quietly worked for years, they're the ones who win. The ones who showed up day after day without applause, they're the ones who build something real. The ones who learned patience, they keep what others lose. That's the difference. That's the truth. The long game doesn't reward the passionate. It rewards the patient. It doesn't reward the perfect. It rewards the persistent. It doesn't reward emotion. It rewards execution. Every single day, you cast a vote for who you'll become 5 years from now. Each workout, each hour of study, each act of restraint, they're not wasted. They are investments. And every single one of those investments compounds. Most people don't lose because they're incapable. They lose because they stop too soon. They expect the harvest before they've even planted enough seeds. They want to be trusted before they've earned reliability. They want the reward before the repetition. But the long game doesn't bend to impatience. It demands endurance. And when you start honoring that, your entire mindset shifts. You stop seeking instant proof. You start building inevitable results. You stop asking, is it working yet? And you start telling yourself, it's working because I'm still here. That is the mindset of the unstoppable. Understand this. The long game exposes both the pretenders and the professionals. The pretender seeks attention. The professional seeks improvement. The pretender quits when the applause stops. The professional builds in silence. And when the years pass, the difference is undeniable. Because time is the ultimate scoreboard, and the long game never lies. If you train your mind to think in decades, you become unshakable. You stop panicking over short-term noise. You stop fearing failure because you realize that failure is just feedback, not finality. You learn that patience is power, not passivity. That's when you become dangerous, because the person who is willing to stay in the game can be beaten by the one who only shows up when it is convenient. You don't need to outsmart everyone. You just need to outlast them. Stay consistent. Stay patient. Stay focused. Every disciplined day adds another brick to your foundation. Every choice to show up adds another layer to your future. And when the storm hits, because it will, the ones who built fast will crumble, but you will stand firm. That's the reward of the long game. Unshakable stability. You're not just building results. You're building roots. You're not just chasing goals. You're creating gravity. So let the world rush. Let others quit. Let time test everyone. You'll still be here. Steady, grounded, unstoppable. Because the long game doesn't lie. It doesn't cheat. It doesn't forget. It remembers every single rep, every sacrifice, every decision to stay. And one day when others look at your life and call you lucky, you'll smile, because you'll know it wasn't luck. It was longevity. That is the ultimate truth. You've learned the final law. The long game never lies. Now everything comes down to one thing: what you do next. Don't wait for validation. Don't wait for permission. You already know what must be done. So move, build, persist, repeat, day after day, brick by brick, year by year. The world will forget your words, but it will never forget your consistency. This is your call to action. Play the long game. Be the proof. Live the truth. And remember, the long game never lies. If you've reached this moment, it means you didn't just listen. You endured. You faced your own noise, your doubts, your emotions, and you kept going. That's what this journey was preparing you for. Because strength isn't loud, it's quiet. It's the ability to move when you don't feel like it, to breathe through chaos, to stay grounded when the world tries to shake you. Discipline is not punishment, it's freedom. It's the invisible force that protects your peace, guards your focus, and sharpens your will. And when everyone else quits, it's the thing that whispers, "Not yet." You've learned to master pressure, to build in the dark, to choose motion over emotion. You've learned that the game isn't about being seen, it's about becoming solid. So from here on out, live like a craftsman. Polish your habits. Guard your attention. Refuse to react, and watch how the world begins to move around your stillness. Because when you command yourself, you no longer chase control, you are control. And that is power that outlives you. If this video awakened something in you, a spark of calm, a reminder of strength, a deeper sense of who you could become, don't let it fade, let it grow. Feed it with discipline, silence, and self-respect. And if you want to keep sharpening that mindset, subscribe to this channel. This is where discipline meets storytelling, where every video forges a stronger mind and a steadier soul. So stay focused, stay silent, and as always, command yourself before the world does.